Hey everyone, welcome back to another Godzilla Battleline video, and yes, I actually am recording this right after I finished recording the 4-star reviews. So, in line of the bronze reviews, the silver reviews, and the legendary reviews, this is the gold character reviews. As you can see on the screen, there is a lot less to go over than the 4 stars. I think it's like 12 or 13 of them. There's a ton of the silver units, a ton of the bronze units. Gold is going to go by pretty fast, so maybe, hopefully, not a super long video. The other reviews, the silver and the bronze, got a lot of positive feedback, so I'm going to cover the remaining units that we have yet to discuss. Let me know your feelings about the units down below, but with that being said, we're just going to hop right into it and talk about these units in the order in which they appear. Alright, G89. What is there to say about G89 other than out of all of the gold 3-star units in the game, he's probably the best. To be completely honest, he is the best tank in the game. He has amazing health. He's like the second highest DPS character in the game. Great unit overall. High cost. He's always been solid. There have been times where he was unusable, but he's pretty good right now. Unfortunately, with the rise of ranged units and flying units, he is falling out of favor of the meta, but he is still definitely one of the best units in the game in terms of stats. He is an amazing tank and just all-around beast on the field. As soon as I see him drop, I try to deal with him immediately, because if you ignore him for too long, he's going to run through your whole team. Like I said, with the rise of flying units and ranged units, it's becoming increasingly difficult to use him on the field, but I still think he's an incredible unit, and if you are looking for a solid tank to place in your deck, there's none better than G89. Now, as a leader, high health, great. Damage is decent. Not an amazing ability. This ability was pretty powerful early on in the game, but now there's better ones. Heat Ray, 2 cost, 90-second cooldown, deals 350 damage in a fan shape and increases damage dealt by allied units with an energy cost of 5+ on the battlefield for 50% for 15 seconds. Same thing I'm going to say that with the Kong ability. If this was uncapped for energy cost, this would be a way better ability, but because it is only working for 5+ energy units, not very great. It's 2 cost energy, which isn't bad. The cooldown's not very bad either. It's just because it's locked behind 5+ energy units, this ability falls flat. Overall, as a leader, if you're just starting the game, G89 is a good leader. He can buff a lot of the 4 stars, which I know a lot of new players are going to be trying out. I think he's better as a unit, and I know a lot of long-term players are going to be agreeing with me as well in that aspect. Alright, so Mechagodzilla, my original leader when I started the game, and a lot of new players, current leaders as well. Mechagodzilla used to be a pretty big deal on the battlefield, only because he was 4 cost and could counter some flying units like Mothra and Batra and King Ghidorah when the game was fresh and young. Now there's a lot of units that can deal with him pretty quickly, but he did have his day way back when. So, for 4 cost, you place him in the field. He has run-of-the-mill stats, and he can hit air units, he can hit the ground, the aerials, the facilities, he can hit everything. He does decent enough damage, but overall, for a low-cost unit, he's fine. I think there are better 4-cost options like Jet Jaguar. As a leader, his ability is decent. It's alright. I use this a lot first starting out. Plasma Grenade, it costs 3 energies and has a 60-second cooldown, so not very bad, and overall, those are pretty decent payouts. Deals 150 damage and knockback in a straight line. I don't care. And reduces the time it takes for facilities on the battlefield to generate allied units by 50% for 15 seconds. I also don't care. I used this originally. I say I don't care. I'm talking about the damage. The knockback was especially useful. So I'm going to put this on the field. This is a Bylante approaching. He's going to hit him with this. As far as I can recall off the top of my head, this is the only unit with any kind of knockback period at the time of recording. So this actually is extremely beneficial to get some units out of your way pretty quickly. But in a pinch, this could bite you in the ass, because if you have a ton of units on the field coming your way, you're going to want to put units on the field to stop them, not use 3 to push them away only for them to come back, and then you're just up 3 energy again. So in a pinch, not amazing, but as a luxury, this is actually a pretty solid ability. I like Mechagodzilla as a leader a lot more than I like him as a unit, and especially for newer players, I think he could be a very good starting leader. Alright, now Gigan as a unit, I'm just going to tell you right now, dead on arrival. What he does, you drop him in and he just runs straight for your enemy leader to do damage. He also will stop on the way for facilities. For 5 costs for him to die just immediately, not worth it. You can see in the video right here, he just runs past, what is it on the field? And Anguirus goes for him, tries to attack him, can't get the hit, goes away, right? That's not going to happen in a normal game. In a normal game, someone's Terrestris or Ultima is going to knock into him, their King Caesars, their King Ghidorahs, whatever. It's just going to stop Gigan, dead on arrival, not worth it. Now, why is mine leveled up so much? Gigan is a phenomenal leader. He still is a phenomenal leader. If you want to use G89 and Mechagodzilla in your deck, you can use Gigan as your leader. If you don't want to use Biollante as a leader, but you really like the speed boost, you can use Gigan as your leader. Here's their ability. Bladed Ripper. 2 cost, great. For a 2-minute cooldown, also great. Deals 300 damage in a straight line, doesn't matter. And raises the movement speed of allied ground units on the battlefield to Gigan's movement speed for 10 seconds. This is insanely fast. We don't actually have a solid number on his speed, but if you look at his unit video right here, look how fast he runs up the map. So now imagine G89 moving at that speed, Biollante moving at that speed, Ultima, G21, Jet Jaguar, any of them. This is a amazing ability to take advantage of. Echan, you go check out his YouTube channel. He has a ton of videos talking about Gigan leaders and how to use them effectively. Gigan is one of the best leaders in the game, period, and is a monumental help for newer players. If you can get Gigan on your team, throw him in as your leader slot, because you're definitely not going to use him as a unit, but because you're not using him as a unit, it opens up a slot for you to have more powerful ones like King Kong or G89 on the field to rush these tanks straight up the middle. Great leader overall, terrible unit. Alright, so I've said that Godzilla Ultima is my favorite unit in the game. Hedorah is a very, 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 very close second. So, Hedorah used to be unplayable. She was way too fast and had a way too slow evolution time. They lowered her speed and they lowered the evolution time of the flying stage, and now it is incredible. You can still see she has the old speed in this video. That is not the case anymore. The flying stage of Hedorah, when you place them on the field, fly over enemy units, and it's an aerial unit and has this big fart cloud underneath it that does a little bit of damage. Not anything too crazy. It should say right here, it does 80 damage just for however long that the enemies are standing in it. Whatever. Can die really fast if hit out of the air. That is definitely something to be concerned about. Hedorah mature form. This is where things get crazy. A long-range AoE for 4 costs. This is basically a cheaper version of Ghidorah. So what happens is you use this AoE, it does a ton of damage, and then the enemies will walk into a pool of acid. This video doesn't really do Hedorah justice because they're trying to showcase not only the AoE, but also the acid. Hedorah at level 27, which is what mine is, has 2,207 health and does 421 damage per hit every 2 seconds. That is really good stats for a 4 cost, and it's a long range unit. So if you throw this in a Biollante deck, you are going to absolutely be running people through because you are going to be doing so much more damage. This hits all units, aerial, facilities, whatnot, and the death pool of goo also hits aerial units as well. Hedorah for 4 costs is probably the best 4 cost in my opinion, and just overall is a great unit, especially with all the buffs. Hedorah has been a great unit for a long time, and they randomly last season were like, hey, she's going to get an attack buff. Why? I don't know. She was already really good, and they just made her even better. So Hedorah has been buffed a few times since the game is released, and with every buff, she's just become more and more viable in the meta. I don't think it's a meta unit, but I definitely think that it is a unit that you can use to win team fights. It's a win condition, pretty much. You have Hedorah on the field behind another unit. You can win a lot of team fights. You can deal with swarms really fast. You can deal with a big clump of monsters really fast. I know a lot of people will group up Batras and Ghidorahs and whatnot together. Hedorah can hit them all. Hedorah will be able to do a ton of damage over a large area several times in a team fight. So big recommendations on Hedorah. If you want to use her, go for it. I'm a big fan. Alright, the 1964 Rodan. This is honestly, out of all the gold units, probably one of the lesser ones that I would pick. I know a lot of people decide to run them. There's no problem with running them. I just think there are better options for flying units. For 4 cost, it's alright. Pretty fast and does a decent amount of damage over a good amount of time. Attack speed is 1.4 seconds. The attack on mine is 414, but as you can see for level 20, not a lot of health. The Rodan will die pretty fast, but you can get some solid damage out of him before he goes. overall, not too much to say about him. I know a lot of people will be able to find uses for him that I haven't found, and in the comments I'm sure someone will be like, I use Rodan in junction with the Batro leader buff, and he's really good. I'm sure he is. All of the gold units are good in their own right. I just think out of them all, Rodan is probably the lesser of the gold units. If you want to run him, go for it. Not a recommendation from me, but just he's a good unit to slot, especially because he's probably, I think he is one of the first units you get. I'm pretty sure you're just given him when you start the game, and he's good to run for a while, but eventually you're going to want to replace him with other things. And when I say you're going to want to replace Rodan with other things, I'm talking about Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla is a great support unit, has recently fallen out of favor due to her being a flying brawler, but really what you want to utilize is her slow. So you can see when you spawn her in, she does this big slow field. She's going to go right there, you're going to see drop, slows down G89. This is really great in a team fight. I drop Mechagodzilla all the time. I took her out of my team for this season because I'm going for a ranged strategy and she's a brawler. However, she has a lot of utility on the team. She can slow, especially in a big team fight close to your leader. She has a lot of damage overall. She can just pull up to a fight and just start knocking heads. And she has a 1.7 second attack, which is great. Her movement speed is she will decrease the movement speed. I was gonna say she buffs, but she has a decrease to movement speed when she spawns. That's what that big purple field is, by 20%. And she decreases the attack speed for 8 seconds. So not only are units moving slower towards their targets, but when they reach their targets, it's going to take them 20% more time to build up their attack and charge. This is really great to stop, G89s, Godzilla 21s, burning Godzillas. Anything with a really high attack speed is going to absolutely suffer under Mechagodzilla. She's probably one of the better flying units and one of the better gold units to have on the field. I recommend her. She's a great flex pick. She's not required, but she's really great to have. Finally is the Super X. Now, Super X had a massive nerf. Let me find it right here. Yeah, slowed the attack speed and reduced cost to 5 energy. This character now has a 2.8 second attack. It used to be 2.5, and Super X used to cost 3 energy. Super X was running the field for the 2 months that it was in the game before this buff. Super X came with Mothra Leo. Yes, Mothra Leo, and then with Ghidorah, and then it even was actually produced, so I guess 3 months. It was just running things, right? But I would say 2 months because, in the first month, if you're not whaling, it's hard to get Super X pieces. But by the second and third month it was in the game, it was powerful enough. Mine was only 19, but for most of the season, mine was 16 or 15 or 17. And it was doing work. It was such a good sniper. Now, for 5 energy cost, I would say that it's not as worth it, but it is still seeing a ton of play. It benefits from the Biolante buff. It benefits from anything that buffs a range or flying unit. And for 5 energy cost, it still does a decent amount of damage. It's just a really good unit that can just take pot shots from behind, and it just does work. It does the same amount of work as it used to do. It's just harder to get it out in the field. I am not recommending Super X just because a lot of people probably don't have it leveled to where it needs to be for it to be effective, or because their decks just aren't going to allow for an extra 5 energy cost. However, if you can efficiently make a deck with Super X in it, more power to you. There's a lot of top players still using Super X, and I see all the time decks thrown around on my Discord featuring Super X. So if you want to find some good decks with Super X, there are some in the deck building section of my Discord. Other than that, I'm not giving it my seal of approval or my recommendation, but it's a pretty good flex pick, and it is still just as viable as it was previously. It's just a little bit more expensive. So I think this might have been the shortest one of these videos. Let me know of your thoughts down below. I think I'm going to get the most pushback on Rodan, the classic Rodan, and the Super X. But let me know what you guys think about anything I had to say about these characters. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. I'm trying to work on more videos to put out for the holiday season. So if you want to see something specific, let me know. There's a very short window of time I have before I'm dipping out for the holidays. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you all on the next one. Bye-bye.